we're good.
Or she'll like, there's days she doesn't use it, but she'll miss a couple days a week to do like tennis tournaments. And so we do
I like them.
Actually, Batman has beaten Superman in a fight before, hasn't he?
I don't know.
That was good.
Yeah,
Why?
Alright, there were two theorems that you needed to put in your notes last night. Theorem 1-4, can anybody, some of you asked me about that during study hall, can anyone tell me what that's saying? Sarah?
It's like the distance between 2 points has to be one, like, certain number. It can't be a different number than that.
Okay, if they give you the distance, there's only one point that it could be. That's what it's saying. So it says on array, there is exactly 1 point at a given distance d from the endpoint of the array. So if you have an array and you're given a distance, so here's array RS, and if you're given D, there's only 1 point that would be on the array that would be that distance from the endpoint. Okay? Make sense? Yes? Okay. And who can tell us what the other one was basically saying? Madeline.
Like, every segment has exactly one midpoint.
Right, every segment has exactly one midpoint, which is pretty much what it says. That's pretty straightforward. Good. So there can't be more than one midpoint. If it's the point that's in the middle, there's only one. Okay, so let's talk about the exercises, and they also go along with what we talked about with the ruler postulate. Who can summarize or tell us what the ruler postulate was that we talked about yesterday? Alan?
You can assign numbers to any points and it'll always like equal the same number, like if you like try to solve it.
Okay, good. So if we assign numbers to points on a line segment or on a line, then we can use those numbers to find distances. And distances are always what? Positive. Good. Distances are always positive. So when we do that, we take the absolute value when we subtract to find the distance, because distances are always positive. Okay? So for example, if you guys have your book open to page 14. We have, let's just go through some of these. Number 5 says the absolute value of 13 minus 0. What would that be? 13? Good. Number 10 says the absolute value of 2 minus 8.
6.
Okay, good, because 2 minus 8 would actually be negative 6, but the absolute value of negative 6 is positive 6, right? Good. Questions so far? Okay, and so let's look at 11 and 12. 11 says the absolute value of 3 minus negative 2. Okay, good. So how did you guys learn the integer rules? How would you tell me how to do this? Hannah?
Okay, I learned that if you're minusing a negative, then you take the two negative points and it makes addition.
Okay. Alright, if you have two negatives in a row, it changes it to add. Good, so that would be the absolute value of 5, which is 5. Okay, and 12 says the absolute value of negative 9 minus negative 1. Good, because this would become plus, so negative 9 plus 1 is negative 8, but when we take the absolute value of negative 8, we get positive 8. Okay, do we feel comfortable with those? Yes? Questions? Okay, and then if you look at the number line at the top of page 15, it says name the point or state the number described. So let's go through those quickly. Number 13 says the graph of the number 4. So what point would that be describing, Mac? Okay, good. The coordinate of point D. Aaron?
-3.
Negative 3, good. Number 15, the origin. Mac? G, good. The origin means 0, right? Number 16, the coordinate of the origin. I just said it. Yeah. 0. Number 17, the end point of ray EJ. Morgan?
3.
No. Sarah?
M.
No. Sophie?
5.
Okay. Let's talk about what endpoints are of rays, right? Hannah?
The endpoint is the first letter that's described, so E would be the endpoint.
Right, okay, so rays have one endpoint and then continue on infinitely in the other direction. So some of you were telling me the value of J. J is the second one. Remember, it's going to continue on infinitely. Some of you were telling me the value of M, which is at the end of the line that we're given. But again, it's going to go on and on forever. So we don't know where it's going to stop. It's infinite. So the end point of a ray is the point where it starts, which would be E. So for number 17, that would be -2. Okay? Questions about that? Alright, so 18, the end point of ray JE. Wolfie?
J.
J. Okay. I'm not sure actually if they're asking you for the number or the,
Oh, well,
but so it would be 3, J or 3. Yeah, I'm not sure what they're wanting you to put there. 19, the midpoint of HL. Okay. J, good. Number 20, the midpoint of CK. Sarah?
0.
0, good. Number 21, the point on ray DM 2 units from D. Aaron?
F. I think.
F is correct. Very good. Could you say B?
No.
Why not, Wolfie?
Because it's not in the ray.
Right, that's not the direction that the ray is going, so that would not be correct. Okay, good. 22, the point on ray MD 2 units from M. Morgan?
Okay.
Good. And number 23, the distance between, excuse me, points B and F. Sarah?
4.
Good. Number 24, the length of segment LF. Okay. 6, good. Number 25, 2 points, 3 units from point G. Sarah?
D and J.
Good. So D is 3 units to the left from point G, and J is 3 units to the right from point G. Okay? And number 26, 2 points, 4 units from point E. Okay? A and I. Okay? Alright, so we are going to, Wolfie?
Oh, yeah, I don't get the 25 and 26 thing. Like, it says the 2 points, like, what's the 2 points for?
Points meaning the
Both sides?
letter that you're given, like at what point.
Oh, okay.
Does that help?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it just means that, like, there's gonna be 2 points of,
If they don't tell you which direction to go in,
okay,
it would be a point in each direction, not many units away.
okay, thank you.
Other questions?
Same as this.
Okay. Alright, good. So we are going to have a quiz tomorrow over the first 4 sections. You will have about 5 minutes at the beginning of class to ask questions before we take the quiz. You need to be familiar with all of the terms and the definitions that you've written in your notes, and be able to do exercises that you've seen in your homework. There is a self-test that I'm going to assign as part of your assignment tonight. That is over the last 2 sections that we did, 3 and 4. If you want to look, there's another self-test that would be optional on page 8. That was after the first 2 sections. And I do believe that the answers to them are in the back of your book. So that's why it's called self-test, so you can check yourself to make sure that you are prepared. Okay? So your assignment tonight is 1-4. Starting on page 15, numbers 17 through 41 odd. And then the self-test, which is on page 16, all of those, so 1 through 10. Okay, and then just a note, there's also another self-test on page 8. That's optional to study with.
For the quiz, will we need to like have the postulates and theorems memorized, or like be able to recognize them, or is that
Be
just
able
help?
to recognize them, like if matching, like a matching type format, you won't have to like verbatim write them down word for word, but be able to recognize them or draw a picture to illustrate them. I will tell you what it means. I'm not just gonna say like, there, okay, let me be more specific about that. I'm not gonna say theorem 1-4, what does that mean? What's theorem 1-4 say? No, I'm not gonna say that. But the vocabulary words, you would need to be able to recognize those, okay? But if I said theorem 1-4 says on array blah blah blah, draw a picture to illustrate that. You don't need to know the theorem numbers and what they are. Okay, does that help?
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you.
Are any questions like question 37 gonna be on this quiz?
Possibly.
Oh
I honestly haven't made the quiz yet, so, but anything is fair game for the first 4 sections. But you don't need to have the theorem numbers memorized. That's not necessary. Adeline?
So just like to study, we should like do like, it'd be good for us to do both of the self-tests and then
Yes.
study like the postulates.
And the yes, the vocabulary words,
Okay.
yes. And if you have any other questions about that, let me know. Email, Edmodo, whatever.
Is it a test or a quiz?
Quiz. So like, it's not gonna be very long. Okay.
Just go for it. Have you heard anything about you like doing the checks for the reason test this year? Like last year we had fake money that we would get.
Oh, I don't think they're going to do that.
Yay.
You're glad they're not going to?
Yes.
It's kind of stressful to keep track of.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that, the teachers were thinking that. That is a lot to keep track of.
That's so good.
We can probably turn this off.
I think there's a button on the back that says like record that you can press to like make it